Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Hilarious Donald Trump Impersonator, a Dutch TV show. Well, I think Donald Trump is one of the more easily recognizable people, I think, on the planet. So I'm very, very curious to know, to see the actual impersonating and how this person apparently looks just like him. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
Je hebt viral gaan en echt viral gaan. Dat laatste geldt voor het filmpje uit de uitzending van Zondag met Lubach, waarin Nederland zich voorstelt aan Donald Trump. Het filmpje is inmiddels tientallen miljoenen keren bekeken. Volgens sommige bronnen zelfs 50 miljoen keer. Het is ingesproken door de comedian Greg Shapiro en hij imiteert daarin natuurlijk de stem van Donald Trump. Greg, your voice has been heard by about... Yeah, we can applaud for that. Definitely.
He doesn't look like him.
No.
Greg, your voice has been heard by approximately 50 million people worldwide.
Yes.
How does that feel?
It's, well, first, I have to give credit to the writers from Zondag met Lubach.
Of course.
And yeah, we know each other. They knew I was doing the show at Boom Chicago, and oh, they're doing a Trump thing, so can you come in? The first idea was, let's not read it too Trumpy. And then I tried it once with full on as Trump as possible, and yeah.
Everyone cracked up.
Yeah, that's probably best.
So you kind of grew into it organically and decided to go full on Trump?
Yeah, but the text was already
It's funny to go full on Trump. Yeah, sure. Is there any other way?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, credits given there. Still, when you're doing this, it's fun, it's hilarious. You never anticipate that 50 million people will be watching and hearing your voice, I assume.
That's so
it's
crazy.
nice that my family back in America are sharing this with me. Did you see this? It was on CNN.
You went viral.
Your
You went
fame is
viral.
back home.
That's me. Yeah, it's really nice. And then they heard that I was going to be on the Jinek show, and
Greg, you're officially losing it. Can you when the voice in your head? We all have this voice in our head. Does it talk Trump to you?
It used to be George Bush for a while, and then Barack Obama was not so bad. But yeah, now.
How come all the presidents are so easily replicated? I know, it's so weird.
Kids are already Papa.
Stop knocking off.
It is time to brush your teeth. It's time. It is time. We need to brush your teeth right now.
Yeah, the kids
Okay, Rick, you're not the only person who got famous because of this video. Wouter Dekkers, u bent de directeur van Ponypark Slagharen, inmiddels wereldberoemd. Hoe voelt dat?
Ja, enorm leuk. We hebben gigantische dagen achter de rug. Juist in het jaar dat we eigenlijk de laatste keer alle ponies bij onze bungalows hebben. Waar we eigenlijk
de ponies gaan weg?
Ja, de ponies gaan op een gegeven moment weg bij ons.
De pony?
En, dus dan gebeurt dit. Dus we wisten niet wat ons overkwam sinds maandag.
Wacht even. Time out. Waarom gaan de ponies weg?
Nou ja, wij hebben eigenlijk in de laatste jaren de focus op achtbanen, op het pretparkgedeelte van ons. We zijn er nu aan het bouwen, de Gold Rush. En dan opeens komt dit filmpje van het team van Lubach.
Maar ja,
fantastisch.
Maar als ik bedoel, dit is een reclamecampagne, daar kun je niet eens over beginnen te dromen. Dan kun je toch geen afscheid meer nemen van die ponies? Nu dat iedereen in de wereld weet dat jullie ponies hebben.
Ja, en toch gaat het gebeuren. En de oplettende kijkers zullen ook gezien hebben dat het niet eens onze ponies zijn die in het filmpje zijn. Dat is eigenlijk de ponies van Ponypark City in Connor. Dus dat was eigenlijk
een alternative ponies.
Ja.
Maar dit is nog een vrij normaal en nuchter antwoord wat u geeft. Maar dit is natuurlijk helemaal te gek, toch? Dit is een gekkenhuis.
Ja, dat hadden we niet beter kunnen verzinnen. We zijn nu dicht. Het is nu onze winterpauze. En dan toch zoveel aandacht voor het attractiepark Slagharen is fantastisch.
Begrijp ik, ja.
De kans dat Trump die tent wil overnemen. Dan maken ze een gouden toren bij de ingang.
U krijgt een belletje. Trump wil op bezoek in Ponypark Slagharen. Speciale ontvangst?
Ja, ten eerste iedereen bij ons welkom. De Gold Rush zal hij zeker aantrekkelijk vinden met het goud. Dus hij is van harte welkom.
Oké, heel erg bedankt. Greg, back to you.
Okay.
Trump is your newest impersonation. It's obviously taken over your brain.
Yeah, a little
to a
bit.
certain degree.
Yeah.
But you've been doing impersonations of American presidents for quite a while. You mentioned that it used to be George W. Bush.
Sure.
Could you give us a little flavor?
He was, George Bush is, a Texas kind of guy, and he also was, he wasn't the first mentally ill president, but he maybe was the first president with a little bit of mental something going on there. And yeah, he he said things. I mean, this is a literal quote of, I don't trust the French because they don't have a word for entrepreneur. Yeah, right. That's the reaction you have as an American.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
for Texas, so.
earlier in the program, just a tidbit of it. My favorite president, Bill Clinton.
Okay. Yeah.
And is he still?
Fake accent.
I mean, he's the explainer in chief, if you believe him or not anymore. Bill Clinton is someone.
This is great because
it was a very wise statement.
If I sort of close my eyes and sort of, let's imagine, I'm not seeing it, and they sound so similar.
During the campaign, he said, first of all, if you want to win Wisconsin and Michigan, maybe you should campaign once in Michigan.
The last.
In Wisconsin or Michigan. But no, Bill Clinton said that even on the left wing in the liberal Democrats, we still have one remaining prejudice, which is a prejudice against anyone who doesn't agree with us. And that explains a lot of what is going on. Still a lot of my friends on Facebook tearing their hair out. How did this happen? And well, if you look a little bit out of your Facebook algorithm, you
would have noticed that slightly
red
sooner.
feed, blue
okay,
feed.
now
Sure.
I think this is like the ultimate for an impersonator. The orange leader.
Yeah.
The devil wears bronzer. The Donald has arrived.
Yeah.
When you're imitating him, I mean, maybe you can explain to us what attention do you pay to which details before you kind of get it in? Where do you start?
Yeah. Eric also pointed out you have to do the tie really low. It's super, like hanging.
Over je gulp.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what that
Dashiel.
is. New time. Yeah. I mean, thank goodness I've now made my own tutorial video. And
How'd you get into
it's my
character?
good friend Pep Rosenfeld. We've been making shows together since 2000 about the elections, and he said, you know what the thing is, if you look at Donald Trump, his eyes are never fully open and his mouth is never fully closed. It's never closed. And then, the way he speaks, because for a while Pep was doing.
It's the most important part. You have to get a cadence right. Otherwise, you're not going to impersonate anyone.
The Trump accent, and he was like New York, and you'll see.
It's not New York.
No, he's so New Yorker, but he sounds like a California surfer. He's like, we're gonna go catch some rays, we're gonna go to the beach. We are gonna get so many waves. It's gonna be tubular. It's gonna be so gnarly. And and then
it sounds completely not like New York, and you've been doing it the whole time though. It's because it's really
you can't help but do the hands.
Yeah,
exactly. And that is what he will say. He will look into the camera and say, my hands, very big hands. I guarantee there's no problem down there. But his hands are telling a different story. No problem, but he's doing this one or this one. So it's like, I guarantee, no problem down there. But meanwhile, his hands are saying, peeny, peeny, teeny, teeny. And they just keep going back and forth and this and this.
Your hands are way too big.
I know, it's difficult
he has
for me to get away
miniature
with.
hands. They're like
Did you see him hold up the big? I just signed this with my enormous signature. Anyway.
The miniature hand.
Tiny. And the reason we do that is because we know he hates it.
It pisses him off. It's good to know that when you're making fun of him, that it actually does affect him.
In a way. And I wonder if I'll be allowed back into the country when I'm supposed to perform for the Dutch consulate and for the King's Day.
You'll have to give us an update on that. But
he starts off so many sentences as well. Word choice, very important. Yeah.
Pretty funny that on the Dutch King Day, they're making fun of an American president. I thought they were they're roasting their own sort of people.
He'll start, and this is how, and it's amazing to watch him, because he will start so many sentences, and by the end, and people say this all the time. And the media, they hate me for saying this. But everybody is wondering, how will he end? And we don't know how this sentence will end. And that's the thing. And that's how he will start every project. The wall will get half built, and then he'll do something else. He'll start a project. We're going to have a 20% raise on every import. And then also the people coming in. And Miss Universe, by the way. How is Schwarzenegger
he just throws it all in there to this milkshake and doesn't really finish it. We have a part of a press conference that he gave. Here he's reminiscing about his inauguration. Let's have a look.
It was almost raining. The rain should have scared him away, but God looked down and he said, we're not going to let it rain on your speech. In fact, when I first started, I said, oh no, First line, got hit by a couple of drops. And I said, oh, this is too bad, but we'll go right through it. But the truth is that it stopped immediately. It was amazing.
It was a wonder. It was a miracle, basically. And you see, I was there, and I said at one point, I waved my hand, and the rain parted for me, and
I'm just gonna block him, and yeah, it's perfect.
was like, I am not a religious man, but I do have an enormous Messiah complex, okay? And there I was, and there were so many people, many more than you saw reported in the lying media, and there was not enough food for all the people. I put my hand on the loaves, and there were loaves and fishes for everybody there. And you don't get to see the legions of Egyptians that were chasing me behind me. And then as soon as I was done speaking,
Greg?
I closed.
I'm worried about you now. Okay? You are losing it.
The Egyptians, they were flooded away.
Big time.
And they didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're going to be enjoying the next 4 years. Thank you so much. Greg Shapiro is iedere vrijdag te zien in Amsterdam met Trump Up the Volume. Thank you, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's funny that she mentions, oh my God, you're getting lost in it. I think I'm a little bit scared. I think if I were one of his loved ones or friends, I think I would be sort of, I'm a little scared for you just because I'm thinking you're getting too much into character and I can't have a real conversation with you. Just imagine having to, working up, you're having a serious conversation with this person and they come up with the Trump impression and you're sort of, I need to shut up. I think I'm just going to, I'm gonna remove myself from this situation. It would be very funny. Although again, hilarious, I think in real, a lot of times, probably most of the time, because you have your own sort of personal impersonator that can make you laugh. I think you're having a bad day, you're stressed or something. You can just call them and be, hey, can you sort of imitate it? Because it's really funny, it's great. But then I imagine maybe he knows better. As if you're fighting or you're having a serious discussion, do not come up with this. Although maybe it starts to erupt in his brain because if this is his job, it wouldn't surprise me, I think, because again, when you start, and he does a really good impression of all the American presidents. So I'm thinking, obviously, again, I don't really know how you go along, and he sort of just spoke a little bit about, obviously you have to study how the person talks, because it's not just about how they talk, right? It's all, of course it's about how they talk, but it's, how they talk. Well, that involves, the accent, the cadence, the words they use, how they sort of move their mouth, how they move their, their whole, you move your whole face when you're talking, right? The whole mannerism, how they move their bodies. And again, it's really hard, right? It's, oh my God, I can't imagine how hard it would be. And besides, again, because you're an impersonator, by trade, so this isn't something, in this case it was a really good Trump impression, but I thought his Bill Clinton was also pretty great and his Bush one as well. So it's sort of, okay, so again, if this is your job, I'm wondering how it messes up with your head, because you're, when you're studying it, and again, maybe at some point, it seems to me, as we could see, it sort of becomes second nature, and it just, he can spring this up, no time, you just go, and he's watching Trump, and then he all of a sudden he switches and starts talking in the Trump sort of way. He does the Trumpisms, but I am wondering, and then he can switch it on because he switched it on. Yeah, he went to Bush and then he went to Clinton. So I'm thinking, oh my God, how hard must it be? And I think at one point, even though it's sort of muscle memory, I guess, but still, I can't help to imagine that at some point you're just going around your normal day, your normal life, as in with your whole sort of accent, way of speaking, your whole mannerism and stuff. But then, there's, like they mentioned, there's sort of a voice that, there's a little devil, a little voice inside of you that goes, an intrusive thought that maybe goes, do the voice, do something, go Trump. And then he sort of, I don't know, again, you have to go sort of stop and say, no, what am I doing here? I can't, again, because imagine if you're with friends, or again, you're having a serious discussion, maybe in the workplace, not necessarily in this part of your work situation, sometimes you're in a meeting or something. And then the thing comes up, right? And it's sort of, oh my God, I have to it's sort of like, I don't know, a bacteria that's in your brain and it's trying to eat at you, and you sort of go, no, I have to block it, because it's so easy. And I think that's really, it's good on one hand, because of course you can to just bring this up anytime. What do you want? Do you want Clinton? Do you want Trump? You want what? Whatever. But then at the same time, again, imagine having a serious argument, or again, because I think that's the thing about intrusive thoughts, they come at the worst possible times. So sometimes it's not even that I'm thinking he's actively thinking about, oh, I'm gonna bring the Trump. No, it just happens, and he just probably starts thinking in the Trump cadence, and it must really mess with your head. As in, no, get out of my brain. I have to erase this. What am I doing? How I really speak in my normal life. It's gonna be like that. And I can't even imagine what you do, because he does a show, right? He was speaking about King's Day and how he has a show coming up. So he does this live, which is sort of, oh my God, obviously, again, probably it's sort of actors, they have certain methods, they have certain techniques that they make it so that you can create, well, the characters are already created, but what you have to I have to come into my character, I have to prepare, and probably they have certain techniques that make that to actually to come in the character and also to get out of the character, which I think is really important, right? Because I think, especially when it comes to Trump, which again, in some point, like I mentioned, it's so easy to mock, because he just has such a particular way of speaking that it's just very easy. I think it's a really easy target. It's a lot of, and not everyone does a really good impression. Again, impersonators you can find by the tons. Good impersonators are probably, a lot harder to find. But my point is that a lot of people can probably, again, you say, oh, a Trumpism, or how Trump speaks, and then you'll absolutely know, yeah, of course I know what you're saying. So even the cadence of sometimes when you're listening to, when you're reading something, a speech or something, a statement that Trump gave, is really funny, because I think you can sort of read it in his voice and you can maybe imagine the whole thing. So if you're just a normal person, and I know that I'm not alone in this, oh my God, I can listen to this in his voice, because he has such a particular way of expressing himself that I can't imagine how it is for the actual impersonator, and then how he needs to know if I'm reading something for my own enjoyment, or I'm just reading things. How do I sort of make my brain not read it in his voice and make it, no, it's my own voice? And also I would have loved to see the Obama. He only did Bush, and he only did Clinton. But I'd love to see Obama. But I think it's when he was mentioning this, it sort of, made me realize, I think all presidents have this very distinct, way of speaking. I think it goes along with being president. I think maybe, I don't know, just because I'm wondering if it's a chicken and the egg situation, what came first? Are they just easily sort of recognizable in a way that you can easily imitate them? Or it's just, because they're so famous, because again, they're the president of the United States, you tend to identify the patterns and how they express themselves. So it's sort of easy to imitate them. I think it's what came first. I don't really know. But it's kind of interesting that, all presidents, you can sort of, again, all American presidents, or most of them, you can easily sort of, grab an impersonator, a good impersonator, and they'll do a good job. Not obviously a random on the street, but, an actual person whose job is this. It's you have a lot of work here, and you're not gonna come and it's not gonna be dry, because you really do have a lot of things. There's a lot of there's a lot of market for this, and I'm trying to think of other presidents of other countries. Not necessarily again each person is probably I'm not gonna rank them how famous this person is, but I think if I start thinking about presidents and prime ministers and politicians in general, I think most of them in other countries, I don't think they're, maybe again, some of them, I think, yes, you can definitely sort of impersonate them. But I don't know, a lot of them are just very not distinct in a way. Not that their personality is not special, or, again, it's not, they're not charismatic, because I think, no, if you become a politician, one of the job requirements is that you have to be very charismatic. So it's not about charisma, but I just think that, actually come to think about this, and if you really do analyze this, there's just a lot of politicians, and I mean, when it comes to that level of either president or prime minister, where, they're not, how do you come around, how do you actually impersonate this guy? I don't think you can't. Obviously, again, if I'm not, I'm not using makeup or other things, I'm just sort of trying to imitate how he speaks. It's not that easy yet sometimes, especially I think, but outside of the USA. I think in the United States, Oh, it takes the cake, right? There's just a lot of precedents that are very easily, you know, you can imitate them very easily. But I think in other places and in other countries, I don't think that's really that hard. So there's something in the American soil. There must be something in the water that I think makes it kind of very easily to impersonate. But yeah, I love this one. It was very funny. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.